Get Sweaty with Leddy, a wellness program about pain management. Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode. We have a blistering cold day for us today. The wind is about 25 miles per hour. It says that it's 10 degrees, but it feels way colder than that. But that's not gonna stop us from doing what we do, sweat and cold plunge. Now today's guest helped fortify our hole, so I'm excited to show you later on, but he's also the gentleman that built the sauna that we're using for our program. So let's warm up for a little bit more and head on in and see who we're talking to.
I was shocked at how well it works. It's a cool weapon. Yeah. Yeah. We got a hole. Hell of a hole. Hell of a hole.
Here we are inside this gloriously crafted sauna. I've got Leif Kjorness next to me, today's guest, and Leif actually built this thing. And first off, I can't thank you enough for being the wonderful craftsman that you are. But Leif is also an amazing human and has instantly become one of my great friends. And, you know, we kind of know where maybe the end story of this is going to go, being in the sauna and all that, and building saunas. But Leif, you know, what brings you into pain?
Well, thank you for the intro, my friend. This has been a great experience thus far. Super grateful for you and your crew out here. This is an awesome deal. We're very proud and happy to be down here. So, what brings me into pain? I would say over the years, you know, it's been a lot of inflammation for me, right? And so figuring out like my diet and things like that, foods that are gonna like trigger, because I had this I was telling you about the gout experience I had, right?
Yeah.
So that's been a big struggle for like in my early 30s, and figuring out back then, you know, the food and the things I was taking into my body that kind of caused this inflammation and this, I mean, the gout's a real pain.
Were you getting the gout in your
Yeah, I'd get it in this toe here or like in the behind the joint. And then sometimes in the ankle, but really mostly in the foot, like in the behind the big toe.
I mean, I grew up with my dad would have bouts of gout, right. And I can distinctly remember the best experience my dad had with gout was he was in a wheelchair at Disney World, so I got to go to the front of the line. Every single ride. That was great, but that's probably the only good memory I have of gout, because it put him in some serious pain for many, many years, and he was never able to get it under control.
Yeah, so like, you know, so what they do is they try to put you on like, you know, your uric acid gets really high, right? And foods that have high purines, and, you know, alcohol can contribute to this and all these things, right? And so what was interesting about it, I was like, God, you know, these meds they give you just, you know, makes your stomach upset. And I've never been someone to take, you know, like pharmaceutical meds to like cure this shit. So I was like, I started to dig deep. Now, recently, the hydro water stuff, all that things, you know, that whole craze has been really sweet because that reduces inflammation. So I've been on that. I haven't had an issue with it for years. I mean, it kind of like, I can tell if I'm starting to get like some symptoms of it, it'll attack you overnight. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, you'll wake up and be like, holy shit, I think it's happening, you know? So, but the hydro water has helped a ton. And just watching your diet, honestly, is like the biggest thing.
And the hydro, you're talking about like hydrogen water bottles, right?
Yep, exactly. So that has been, I mean, it's a boost of energy, you know, mental clarity. It's really been like a secret weapon for me.
Nice.
I love the hydrogen water. It's really great. So aside from that, yeah, I stopped taking those meds, and the doctor looked at me. He's like, "Yeah, you're from whatever. You're probably gonna have this all the time." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And then I started to get my body in the right place, and that made a huge difference.
Nice.
For sure.
I love when a doctor is disappointed that you're not following his path of pills and all of that. It's like, no, I'm just going to fix this myself. And he probably scoffed at you.
Well,
and it's
right.
like it's trying to shame you for doing the right natural thing for your body.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a big thing of consumption, right? So like we consume too much of something that we're not supposed to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Whether it's alcohol, foods, whatever, and that contributed to it a lot. So just kind of paying attention, I lost a bunch of weight at that time, like in 2017, and I didn't have anything going on in terms of, the gout. It's great. So, but other than that, my pain, I'm pretty fortunate. I've had a couple things, growing up playing hockey, much like you, but nothing like, no surgeries, nothing that was super crazy. Little back things here and there. In fact, last week when I played, our outdoor league I was telling you?
Yep.
I tweaked my right side over here, and I was about to call you and be like, "Josh, man, I might need to go to that specialist for you," because I hadn't skated. I realized it was 2 years, and I get out there, and I feel like I'm 18 again.
I know, your mind, you're so excited, right? Your mind wants it envisions you doing all of these things. Yeah. But your body's like, whoa, dude, slow down.
I'm telling you, it was like the groin. I was like, okay, well, maybe I didn't stretch enough, I'm like, I am 45, but I'm like, that's pretty young, Yeah. So it's like, it's really funny when you like, puts you in check a little bit, like, hey, let's get back into it. Let's start taking care of this vessel here, because that's real,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? The stretching, the yoga, that stuff. And I know you like to do the Pilates, right?
I do Pilates. I don't do specific Pilates classes, but I do a significant amount of Pilates movements to strengthen, all these stabilizer muscles that aren't getting the main work from just regular movement. So
it's
a big fan of it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to give that a shot because I haven't done that. Laura just took a class the other day at Lifetime. She loved it. So I was like, maybe I'll give this a shot.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. We had someone at Spring Park Awakening, our Sunrise Dance and Wellness Festival, and everybody was just raving about the Pilates. I think it was from Pilates Elevated out in Mound. Shout out.
Good work. I like it.
Yeah. I like Pilates because it's loosening your body, it's strengthening your body, and it's stretching your body. And it's not a static stretch, which is bad, where you're just holding a pose and trying to push it as long as you can. It's a concentrated, intentional movement that, if done correctly and at a proper pace, is going to turn you into, not superhuman, but you're gonna, next time you get on the ice after some Pilates moves, you'll be like, oh man, my groin's great now.
It was hilarious. I was like, okay, well, let's skate. It was like halfway through the first half. I was like, oh, okay. I was limited for the rest of the day. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, well, I gotta, 2 years of not skating, right? You just, you're a hockey player, right? So you get out on the ice, you're skating.
Yeah.
You pick it up really quick. My hands are like bricks. I'll tell you that. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But it was a definite, I felt good after the first skate. The second one, I was like, okay, we gotta be aware. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mentioned recently that I'm still trying to learn how to play the game at an old age, and right now I'm on the shelf because I get a little too overzealous and think I'm 18-year-old Josh and do a little too much. And
me too, pal.
I've got a knee thing going on and I had a back thing going on. So I'm in just like pure maintenance kind of rehab mode. I'm missing what I got back into.
Right.
But at the same token, I'm still grateful that I can recognize the pain that I'm in, correct it properly,
for sure,
and then get back there with a better understanding of how I operate as a 40-year-old man.
Well, and also getting out of our head too, like talking about how we're in pain and like, being like, I'm okay. I'm healing a little bit. Like changing the way we talk about our pain is a big thing mentally,
I totally agree. It's how you frame it in your mind.
Sure.
It's hey, it might be something that's going on. I got to work through it. It's not something that's there preventing you from being you.
I'm experiencing a little bit of this or something. Yeah, for sure. It's all about, I really believe that changing the way we approach the pain in our mentally is like a huge advantage,
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure. So you can kind of talk yourself into a lot of pain, for sure. So
That's where physical pain can become mental pain, because now you're thinking about it so much, and you're given this pain, this identity that is grand, like grander than it actually is.
Right.
And then it overcomes you.
It's a real thing. It absolutely is. And mentally, with that, just everything, how your day is going, just, starting out, I try to like start my day like, today is a great day. It's not going to be. It is a great day. Just little things like that. I feel great today. Just these things, really, you could use it to your advantage. And yeah, you might be trying to trick yourself, but your mind will trick you out of what your heart feels.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll talk you out of anything.
Yeah, I mean, your greatest demons come from right up in here.
For sure.
Great ideas die in the mind if you're not allowing your mind to let them thrive.
For sure. Yeah. And just living out of your heart space, I think, is our biggest advantage. Much like you and I coming together, it's like this was from the heart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that felt genuine right when we first met. It was super cool. I always tell the story. I'm like, man, I went to shake his hand, and I never shake people's hands. I always like hug it out, and you're like, no, man, we're gonna hug. I was like, I fucking love this guy,
Yeah,
so like that part was like, that means a lot to me. You know what I mean? So recognizing that and being aware of this shit is really a powerful experience in this life.
No, absolutely. And yeah, we met casually around Lake Minnetonka this summer, but then we really connected at the first sauna and sobriety event that we held with Jen Virale. And yeah, it was at that moment I was like, oh, Leif,
we're gonna have fun.
I got to figure out how we can do something. That. And all of a sudden now here we are. Yeah. We've got this fantastic sauna experience that we get to enjoy, but the public gets to enjoy as well. This isn't just for us to sit in here and talk about pain.
I love seeing people enjoy this. You know what I mean? It's a thing, because years ago when I first kind of got into this, I was like, I'm a home builder. I was like, whatever, sauna's cool, whatever. And the guy I built this for was one of our clients for the company I used to work for, and it was like, he's like, this is the best stuff, Leif. And he's in his 50s, in great shape. And I really started to pay attention to what he was telling me, and going, okay, like I built this thing for him, and I go, wow, less is more. Like, this is fun to build these. There's smaller projects. There's less stress involved. It's like no stress involved, really. Mm-hmm. So I love spreading the wellness, for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I love seeing people push themselves, get in that cold plunge that have never done it, and then it's hard to, sometimes you go, well, you just get in and slow your breathing down. You got to realize these people aren't in a practice, right? It is a practice for sure, because like we were talking about today, I mean, Josh and we're going to go in there, but
it is cold. Like I said earlier,
it's cold today.
Freaking cold.
So it's a total mind thing again, right? We can talk ourselves out of it, but we choose to do it differently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone has this power, which is great, and watching people kind of come through and get in there and settle in. We had a group here last weekend that was, never had done this, and they're like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. They went in there 3 times, and they were in there for 2-3 minutes at a time.
That's my favorite. Yeah. I get excited when people say, I haven't done it before, but they show a glimmer of interest. Yep. I get disappointed when somebody's like, I'll never try that. Try that. And it's like, dude, you are missing out.
Well, and this is where, like, conditioning, right? Closed mind, and I've been there. I've been this person for sure. And it's like, I never do that, Well, here I am.
Yeah.
Jumping into 32-degree water when it's 6 degrees out.
Oh, yeah.
The wind chill's probably, what is
the
it?
The wind chill's wicked. We got like 25 mile per hour winds out there right now.
Yeah, so
it does not, it slaps you in the face.
It's nasty, for sure. It is.
So you said you kind of got into sauna building a few years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, right around COVID. Right when COVID hit, 2020. Yeah.
Nice.
So we built the same size unit for a client that we had a company I was working for did a remodel with, and they're like, Leif's back on his own, give him a call, he'll build you a sauna, he'll do it down by the lake. And it was a fun project. It was really a great experience. Building the just this whole, when I first met him, he's like, I don't know if we need to use the plans from the architect. And, it was pretty intense, the project he had set up, I was like, man, that's going to cost X amount of dollars. He's like, well, maybe we can just like kind of design on the fly with this. I'm like, you just kind of want an oasis. He's like, exactly. And so right from there, we had this like bond of, creating this cool oasis down by the lake for him, and he loves it. He's hardcore.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then he had me come down to Austin, Texas to build him one down there at his other house, which was, really, really cool. That was a really fun project too. Sweet space, all that.
Nice.
So after that, I just started to go, again, less is more. And the transition I was in my life at the time, it just hit me perfectly, Well,
it's nice to be able to finish things and then move on and finish things and move on. And with a sauna, I liken it to like a brewery, Not many people are coming to a brewery to have a bad time.
Right.
And when you got someone that wants a sauna, they're usually going to be pretty energetic and enthused about it and more excited about the finished product than at home, right?
Well, yeah, this is like it's like it's a little bit of you can break away from the constant, the daily grind, if you will, just this is where your place, this is like your chi, you come out here and just chill. There's no worries out here, so that's what I find to be, the most rewarding part of it is just getting out of the everyday society, pushing you, slowing down. That's been like kind of my mantra is like, slow down, everyone. My daughter's a senior in high school. That went by like in a blink of an eye, and I look at it and I'm just like, it's time to slow down, everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because what are we in a rush for, We're here for such a small time.
And I like that you said slow down, because that is what the sauna is perfect for. We're not sitting in here with our phones. We're not sitting in here with technology outside of these microphones.
For sure,
camera action,
which
right?
is cool.
Yeah. But like the beauty of slowing down in the sauna, or especially a wood-fired sauna, is the process. It's almost like a meditative state that I get in when I'm building this fire, preparing it.
Yeah.
I'll have a lot of people that I talk to sauna about because fucking freaking love it, right?
Right, yeah.
And
for sure.
Most people are like, gosh, I just want to have an electric one. I just want to be able to push a button and go in there and sit. And that's great. It's not bad, but that's coming in with an intention of not slowing down. Like you're trying to get in almost as much as you possibly can.
That is
And are you going to get that benefit by pushing a button, sitting in for 15 minutes, and then on to the next, right?
Yeah.
This right here, it's like this ritualistic process.
Tradition.
I'm going to get the wood. I'm going to light it on fire. I'm going to stoke the fire. And then you just feel this relentless heat building. And then that pushes you into a comfort state where you're just relaxed.
Yeah.
And the world's problems are a little bit easier to solve.
It's very real. I love, to your point about making the fire, I love the prep going into it. I like making the kindling, you know what I mean? I love the whole process of it. So when our clients are, we want something, wireless and this and that, and to each his own. Everyone gets their own, whatever they want. So but for me, it's definitely the tradition of the wood fire. It's the process for sure.
Yeah.
Bringing the water in and, steaming the rocks and, just learning new things. One of our guys that worked with us, Ben, just taught me something. He was over in Finland for a month, and he's like, we pour this on really slowly. See that? Remember we were doing that last time we were in here? And it is nice. It just brings a slow steam. So I'm like, learning still through all of this,
Yeah.
Which is fun. But to your point, love making the fire, love that whole process, and I love splitting wood. I just love doing that stuff,
And cutting holes, right?
Yeah, cutting holes, man. Yeah, that's my new favorite tool for sure.
Well, speaking of this fire, I think it's time to toss some logs on there.
Perfect.
Get this thing really stoked because we're going to need all the heat that we can get before we go into this cold plunge.
No doubt. Yes, we will. My friend.
Woo! Now We are officially piping hot in here. We are trending in the right direction towards our cold plunge. An instant puddle.
Sweaty Leddy.
Sweat, yeah. There's a reason why we call this program Get Sweaty with Leddy, because I'm not one to not sweat. That's for sure.
That's good.
I feel like when I'm in a sauna, I do have like an understanding on how to make myself sweat.
Yep.
You know, like proper form. I just like to touch myself in certain places, and it just like clears sweat, and it just makes way for more sweat. I don't know. It's just an interesting dynamic.
Do you ever run out of sweat?
I don't.
You know, because this happened to me this weekend. I bring it up because I was like, I think I'm at my sauna. I think I'm at my max because I wasn't sweating.
After a few cold plunges, you know, I'll come in here and I'll try to get hot, and you know, I'll be sitting in here for maybe 10 minutes or whatever, and I'll sometimes notice where it's the faucet is maybe turned off a little bit, and that usually is a good indicator of when you should probably step out. Yeah,
you're done.
Don't need to be a hero.
Yeah, that happened to me on Saturday. I was like, I'm not even sweating after like our 4th session.
But for me, it does take a lot for me to not pump out the drips.
Right, yeah, that's good. That's good.
So you got into sauna building, you know, a few years ago, and you know, since then it seems like you're kind of it triggered a sense of wellness in you. Is that right?
For sure, yeah. I think you know, through transitions of life and some experiences, you know, sent me down a path of started working with a life coach, a friend actually from high school. We reconnected through some of the things I was going through. During this time, I was in Austin, Texas, and building that sauna for John. And so she kind of like introduced this breath work to me, right, at this time, and I kind of laughed at her, like, you're going to cure all my stress with breath work, you know? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. But it's been, quite honestly, the mixing the breath work and the sauna and the cold plunge together has been just a life-changing experience for me, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, for sure. It's regulating our stress is probably the most important thing we could do. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's very real. So that's why I was kind of laughing at her. I was like, okay, Tammy, you know, if you say so. But she's way smarter than me, so I followed her lead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more grateful for it, to be honest. It's also just this time to check out, right? From the everyday grind, like we were talking earlier. So the wellness, the breath work, that has been just a very crucial, important part of my growth in this life and the shift I was going through at the time.
That's amazing.
For sure. Yeah.
So in a sense, sauna was like a gateway drug.
Yeah.
In all the right ways,
In all
right?
the right
Not
ways,
that
man.
over-the-counter shit that you get prescribed. This is something that I wish doctors would say, you know what?
Yeah.
You should sauna for 15 minutes every single day. Like, that'd be a great thing to say.
Well, and I think we're trending to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're absolutely trending on the way of our natural healing abilities that are all within us, you know?
Yeah.
In our own bodies. And so I think, you know, as you give yourself I'd say you fall out of your disciplined routine at times, you know. So like right now I'm picking back up, I'm getting back to the gym, I'm getting like motivated again to kind of like just dive deep, you know, and go deeper.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's fun hanging with Chad the other day when he was talking about his breath work, and I've seen some things he was doing, and that was really cool. I've loved to see people, I love to see men doing this for themselves. You know?
No, absolutely. And
so
I wish that you met Isaiah, one of my earlier guests, but Leif was referring to another friend of mine that's getting into the breathwork world.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can do something as simple as sauna, and then it triggers a desire to pursue another avenue of wellness.
Yeah.
And that's just, the writing's on the wall, people.
It truly is.
Sauna.
Yeah, right. And the whole sauna thing too is you get in and, okay, like when we go and do our cold plunge, right? The whole idea behind that, right, is just to slow everything down. Take your deep breaths. Control your breathing. Most people don't die from hypothermia when they fall through the ice. They die from that initial shock and they drown. You know, they take a gulp of water and it's over, right? So if you fall into this stuff, if you're like practiced and you're like, okay, just hang my arms up on here on the ice and just you know, that is a very important practice.
Totally.
You know, and just slowing so once you start to slow your breath down, okay, your heart rate drops, you slow down everything. it's a natural medicine. It's right here, you know?
Yeah.
And so I love it, to be honest. And, you know, and I always talk about it, you know, as you get this natural high from the breath work, especially doing like a Wim Hof breath and the hyperventilative breath. Doing a breath hold, you expel all your air in my last round, hold my breath for 3 minutes. I can't do that just like ever, right? So you can do that with zero air in your lungs and sit there for 3 minutes without taking a breath. That's magic, you know?
Yeah.
It's cool.
Oh, man.
So,
yeah, I mean, you know, coming out of a cold plunge is a euphoric state. Going through breath work, it puts you in a euphoric state.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does.
Yeah, and then, you know, if you're consuming things that you shouldn't, though, like prescription pills or too much alcohol or incredibly processed food.
For sure.
Yeah, you're probably not going to have a great experience the first time because you have so much crap preventing you from latching on to the benefits of the experience you're engaging in. So that's just, you know, we will continue to reiterate that fact that be in tune with your body and your mind. Put yourself in places of wellness, like the sauna, like the cold plunge, like you know, any sort of fitness area.
For sure.
Or even solitude. You know, solitude has its benefits. Yeah. Being at peace with your mind.
Again, the meditation that goes along with it, all this stuff is, again, it's this natural medicine we have in our own bodies, you know. Yeah. So it's really, you're totally right. I 100% agree with you. You know, part of it is getting rid of the toxins we've been putting in. The processed food is a huge thing. And I will at some point have this like where I'm growing my own foods to a point. And I love having chickens, you know, all that stuff, kind of like getting away from the grocery store as much as possible, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I spend more time doing dishes in my kitchen than I ever have because preparing our own stuff, you know, and it's like, if you're not going to put in the work, you will see the negative results. And if you do put in the work, you're going to see the positive results.
Yeah, right. And it's also just, you know, this may come as a shock, but I can be pretty stubborn, right? Okay, so it's like this conditioning from the way I was raised, right? Of going, you know, we're men, we get to work, we just work, do your thing, and never take time for ourselves to kind of like relax and settle in. That's what sauna does for me. That's what the breath work does for me. And I like, because my dad was like, you know, just put your tool belt on, go back to work, and put your head down, don't think about anything, just work. And I was like, okay. And I did that for years.
Just put the blinders on and grind,
100%, man. And it's like, that wasn't genuine to me. You know, that wasn't where my heart, like, this has come out of me naturally, and it was I'm actually proud of the way I kind of like was able to acknowledge it, you know, and not be closed-minded, you know, to it. Because, you know, first 30 years of my life, 35 years of my life, I totally was in that conditioning, you know. Once I started to really open my mind, like, okay, I had reached out to Timmy. I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do this breath work and see what happens. Hooked a little heart monitor up to my earlobe and watched my stress, my cortisol just go right down. Like, I was at 97 beats a minute. Now about 64 beats a minute, resting heart rate, you know? So it's
huge.
It tracks all that. It's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing. So again, getting like just fully dedicating yourself to it and just taking, you know, like I quit just about everything I could to like, while I did this, you know, in terms of toxins I would put into my body, alcohol, you know, I just took a break from everything and just went, let's see what happens if I like really dive into this.
Yeah. You
know, from a natural state, you know.
That's amazing. Like, good for you for taking the plunge, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you.
You have also mentioned to me before that you engage in men's groups.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So much like we're doing here, I want, and you know, when we can get a group of guys together where it revolves around the wellness of what we're doing here. Like, this is kind of where I see this little
ecosystem.
Yeah, right, exactly. And where men have a safe place to honestly cry, let it out, talk. You know, this kind of comes naturally, and it's happening to me for the last handful of years where I think, you know, we're seeing this movement with men. We're like, hey, we don't have to be always a stoic, strong creature that never shows emotion. Like, that's not real, you know?
It's a facade that we're all too, unfortunately, tied to in one way, shape, or another.
100%.
And, you know, I'm
guilty
grateful
of
for
it.
men's groups because they do show you to be vulnerable, and the benefit of human touch, you know, hugging, that release.
6-second hug, that oxytocin,
the release of the oxytocin.
Our first hug, we talked about it.
Our first engagement, yes.
Exactly.
But I try to opt for that more often than not, because
100%.
It's just you know, breaking down this veil,
this barrier, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's it's really simple. Honestly, we know the benefits from being with a loving partner and like someone close to you, and this does not change between man and friend and woman and all this stuff. Like, we need human connection. You know what I mean? And just bringing love to situations, instead of coming at it with aggression at first, is like, that's what we're missing, you know? And I think with men, it's, you get caught in this conditioning where it's like, that's how we've been known to handle things our whole lives, you know?
Right.
And I've been guilty of it for 35 years, bud. You know?
Yeah.
So.
No, I hear you. And I wish I would have had a men's group to be a part of over the past few years.
Yeah, me too.
It might have encouraged me to do things sooner. But
you're here now.
I'm here now.
So.
Yep, absolutely. And, you know, part of the reason for me to write my book was to try to fast track this process for others.
Well, you want to help
other men, but for everybody.
Yeah.
Just trying to, like, undress myself.
Yeah. Being vulnerable, dude. It's a very that's where the power is in this man that I see, right? You're more than willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable and tell your experience, and that's powerful.
It makes me stronger, and I 100%. Hope that others can see, you know, the position that I'm in, and the position that I'm in is ultimate gratitude for life.
For sure.
You know, I've had so many unfortunate things happen to me, but I don't look at it that way. I look at them as they put me here.
Came out of it, right?
They put me here, right here now, to talk to you, to talk to everyone else, and to provide a lifeline for people that might not feel like they have something to grab.
For sure. Caught in our societal ways, right? And so, as you say this, and you go, you've kind of like, you open this door for people to kind of feel comfortable with this. Like, just so you know, like, it's a very powerful move, and it's honorable, it's cool, you care for others, and I feel that. So I think, you know, as you deal, so Dr. Tammy said this to me, like, one of our first sessions. I tell her everything that's going on in my life, you know, she looks at me, she's like,
you should.
She goes, well, what if it's all working out for you? I'm like, did you listen to anything I was saying? You know, like, I didn't have that, like, you know, I didn't have that type of wherewithal to be like, oh, I get it. So even if, like, something quote unquote is bad or doesn't work out for you, what happened in that after that, right? So for me, it was like, I got into the wellness, the breath work, like, that whole situation put me into this place of self-love, self-respect, digging deep into traumas, whatever it is, you know? And that's where the gold is.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. So, being vulnerable can be scary, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, your first thought about it is, you know, embarrassment.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be embarrassed. Nobody wants to feel subpar.
For sure.
But that's just getting yourself to a level playing field. You know, you didn't sink yourself below. You brought yourself up, you know?
Correct.
And you brought yourself up to a point where now you are in control. You can be the determining factor of how you're responding to yourself, right? Perception. Don't let other people perceive you in their own way and believe that, you know, perceive yourself how you want to be perceived and live that.
For sure. And it is like, you touch on that, and it's great. That's really important. It's not our job. And I love this quote. It's like, not our job to worry about what other people think of us, right?
Yep.
It's none of your business.
Yeah.
Right? So
Straight
it's
up.
like, tell ourselves that I love myself. That felt weird to me. That was a practice where it's like, standing in the mirror, it's like, I love you, Leif. I love you, Leif. I love you, Leif. I love you, Leif. And you're like, I hope no one's looking at, you know what I mean? Like completely, like you said, it's like almost embarrassing, but yet you start to feel it all of a sudden.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
it's a real practice.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, I should look in the mirror more and talk to myself.
We all should, man.
I like to journal. You know,
me too.
I try to record moments of gratitude that would otherwise just fall to the wayside.
Right.
And it's so important to do that because it builds you up, it builds others up, it builds life up, and it sets you up for the anticipation of the next great thing.
For sure. Self-love is a very crucial piece to this, you know?
Yeah.
And it's fun when you start to be like, bleep it, man. I love me, man. I'm doing my best. I'm working at it. I'm doing it. I know the truth, right?
Yeah.
So that's fun. I mean, it's like, and it's very real moments, you know?
Yeah.
Because if you can't get real with yourself, who can you be real with, you know?
Yeah.
And I say this, it is, and journaling, to your point, is like one of the oldest practices in the world, right? I mean, like this is good for us. Put our thoughts down, good or bad, and then release that shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you don't want to hold into it because if you're holding it inside and constantly thinking about it, you're giving life to those negative thoughts. We talked on that earlier.
Yep.
You can't give life to negativity, to
Correct.
pain. You need to empower yourself and put yourself in a position to recognize it, right?
Yeah.
It's important to recognize, but
It
then
is.
move on.
Well, and again, so you'll hear me talk about Dr. Tammy a lot. She's like, it's okay, Leif, you can feel that. Feel it, but don't live in it, right? Feel it, recognize it, put it down, let it go.
Pain is privilege.
Yeah, I know. So it's like, as we talk about this pain, right? And mentally, physically, whatever you're going through, it is these important moments of looking in that mirror, and you're down, pulling your own ass up. Self-regulation, man.
Hell yeah.
It's really important. You know, I'm never done growing and working, right?
Same
never
here.
are. So it's like, I want to learn as much as I can.
I'm glad that you said that because, you know, I don't consider myself set by any means necessary. No. Every episode is a learning experience.
Yeah.
Every day is an opportunity to improve,
To learn.
and
grow.
And I try to thrive on those opportunities.
For sure.
And I know that today is a great day. Tomorrow is going to be even better.
Yeah. That's the best. I love that.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. I fucking love you. I think that's
Love
great.
you too, man. Absolutely.
I think that's great, man.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of you. It's because it's not easy. It isn't. And it takes some stumbling, you know, it takes a failure to, like, a lot of times to get us to open our eyes to this, you know.
Yeah.
At least for me it did. And
that's fine too, because if you're failing, that means you're trying.
Yeah.
You know, you're not thinking about something and then failing in the sense that you've talked yourself out of it.
Correct. I mean, you know, I always people can give up for way less, you know what I mean? And I'm going, just keep battling. And so now we're here, right? We get to this. I'm like, and I said this to my life coach, and I said to her, I go, you know what, God, you're telling me I can't wait to see how I feel in a year from now. It's like about a month in. She goes, I'll be back to normal. She's like, hey, this is life's work, Leif. It's not, you're never gonna be, you know, this is forever, you know. And I was like, that really, she gives me these little flashes of actually, like, just reality. Okay, I'm like, okay, yeah, I see. Okay, yeah, I gotta do this. This isn't just today or for the next year. This is life's work, you know. Again, which can be intimidating, but when you start to see the benefits from it and slowing your mind down and getting out of the rat race that's going on up there, you know, it's great.
Absolutely.
How you feeling?
Oh man,
are you ready for a cold plunge?
I think I'm ready for a cold plunge.
I think I am too,
it's
man.
I'm about maxed out in here.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
It's been a good session.
It has.
And it's about to get even better.
Yeah. Let's go do it.
Oh yeah. No, I'm good. It's nice. I think my hair already froze on the way down with this wind. It is.
That's okay.
It is nasty. Look at the size of this thing. Yeah.
Yep, it's real. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yes. Jeez, you could swim laps in this thing.
Yes, you could.
I think we made like 3 inches of ice just overnight last night. So yeah, we got some crystals in here. It just wants to freeze.
It's freezing.
It's freezing, yeah.
So Joe, you know, the biggest trick is to get in here, slow your breath down.
You do look relaxed, I will say.
I don't know how, but it happens.
This platform in here is nice. So Leif, he fortified this hole, as you can see. We can fit a few more people in here and get a couple laps in.
Yep.
We're standing on a wood platform. I do miss the muck. The muck was nice for my feet. A little insulator, exfoliator. Getting
You can step out of the cage here, bud, and get down in there if you want.
I could.
You could.
I love the back of the neck. Dipping the back of the neck in, it always reminds me of like the movie The Matrix when they about to get going and they put the thing in the back of the neck. It's like I'm just recharging right now. Who doesn't love Keanu, right?
Keanu. He's one of my favorites.
He's the guy. Oh yeah, I get the face in, like the face dump. Lost a year of my life right there in my face.
Yeah, I know.
Well, you want to go back up?
I'm ready, bud.
Let's do it.
It's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Cold wrap.
Okay, now for the best part is the nice slow walk back. Take your time. Yeah, we'll have to doctor up this exit a little bit.
Figure it out.
Yeah. A couple of athletes, so we're good.
Boom. Yeah, it's cold.
Love it. It's good stuff.
But it's warmer now than it was coming down here. So know that, know that.
Holy cannoli. That was definitely the coldest plunge of the year. That was punishing. That was a punishing plunge.
You know, I think that was the toughest one I've done yet. Yeah, it was brutal. But felt good. I mean, it was, I say brutal, but it was actually, wasn't that bad, but you feel it.
I was checking to see if I'm still on glass cut status here with my nipples, but it is warm enough now where I'm not shivering, but it took a little. It was
like the fire at the circus. It was
intense, that was kind of like maybe our personal best of the season here. Right? If you're weight training, you celebrate your personal best, and that was a personal best on the cold front and just withstanding.
What do you say? 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and then you throw in that walk down there and the walk back, and there's got to be some sort of multiplying factor of cold when you're dealing with that.
We did a good job. We didn't run back. That's always the another practice of when we come out of there is just kind of like feel that. And we were talking this weekend. You know, remember when you'd like be baiting a hook out on the ice as these guys are fishing out there, and you're like, oh my god, my hands they don't work. You know, you're just like dipping in there and putting a minnow on, whatever. But it's crazy how your body doesn't shut down as we're doing this.
Wow, I never even thought of it like that.
Yeah, can't even bait a hook, you know.
Wow, but like in the hole, you have that dexterity. You have the ability to
totally. I mean, it's totally fine. Obviously, it was cold. Like my toes did get cold on the way back.
They did.
So
they did.
But it was worth it.
But we're feeling good right now, are we not?
Great. Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
it took me a minute to feel the heat again, but you know.
But as always, with the relentless wood-fired heat, we're feeling great.
Yep.
And and so can all of you, because this sauna experience, even though we're sitting here right now, this sauna experience is available to everyone out there, 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Absolutely. We love the community of the sauna community. People have never done it, just, exposing people to it. Just, it's a fun, healthy event.
And with us at Back Channel Brewing being an active lifestyle brewery on the most heavily used recreational lake in the state of Minnesota, even if you're not from Minnesota or if you're from the outskirts, come over here, make a trip to see what this is all about. There's such amazing energy floating around our space over here, and you can harness that in the form of a sauna, in the form of an event at the tap room, in the form of some sort of recreational activity out on the ice, or when we got some warmer months out in that water.
That's right, buddy. Yeah, I mean, we got the boot hockey tournament coming up, right?
Oh yeah, that'll be rocking and rolling. So
that's gonna be a fun one.
We don't shy away from the good times around here, and neither should you. We don't shy away from the hot times either.
Nope.
And you know, and with that, I would like to, you know, take this moment to thank you, Leif, for being here today, for being our guest, talking to us about your experiences in navigating the world of wellness.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's as I tell you, it's a pleasure of my life, my friend.
Oh, man.
You know?
Yeah. Love you, dude.
Yeah, I love you too, man. That's great. This is super fun. Really appreciate it. The whole experience. Everyone's been so kind to us and so inviting, so it's really fun.
Sweet.
I love it.
Well, with that being said, we're going to continue to sweat, probably sneak another chilly cold plunge in there.
We have to.
Yeah.
For sure.
We'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.
See you
Cheers.
next time.